And we're back.
We are, and have to apologize if you can hear my. We have a siren that goes off every month around the first of the month, and it's going off right now. So
Hard to believe we're in August already.
I know, it's crazy. This summer is just flying by.
Yeah. So we're here at another podcast. It seems like we had Will on just a few hours ago, but that was last week.
Right? Yeah. So I'm assuming he had a good time with you and in Florida. And
Yeah, in fact, right now, Will Conrad is at the Tampa Bay Comic Con Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He'll be back with us for a few days, and then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, he's at another con up in New England. So I'll mention that at our next show because I can't remember the name of that one right now.
all right.
But what I
Cool.
can remember is that today's guest, Dave McCaig, I don't recall meeting him in person, though we've probably crossed each other in passing at a convention. And one of the wonderful things about doing this podcast is that I tend to be focused so much on the 200 or so artists that Glasshouse Graphics represents that I rarely see outside that bubble. And there are so many wonderful, talented people out there doing amazing things that us bringing them on here is my way of getting to see it for myself, and all of our viewers can learn about him at the same time. So let's bring Dave aboard.
All right.
There we go.
Hello, Dave. Thank you so
How you
much
guys
for
doing?
joining us. Yeah, we're doing good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Much appreciated.
So what is the siren? What's its purpose?
It is a test siren for like if there's a weather emergency or some sort of like town emergency. That's what that is, and it tests around the first of every month.
Well, you guys better hope you never have an emergency at the first of the month.
Right? Because everybody's gonna be like, just ignore it. It's fine.
It's test fire. It's fine.
See, Chris, you could have told him your town celebrates the launch of our podcast at 1 p.m. the first Saturday of every month, and somebody might have even believed it.
That's
Small
funny.
town hungry for excitement.
Exactly. So, Dave, you and I have been in each other's orbit and kind of been like acquaintances since 2006, I think
Yeah.
it was. I stumbled upon Gutter Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I used to run a website called Gutter Zombie, which was originally designed to help lead fresh new people into the comic industry as colorists, but it sort of evolved into sort of more of a place for all walks of life professionals in comics and animation and graphic design and poster design and stuff to just sort of hang out and like pre-Facebook, it was a good place to sort of shoot the stuff. I don't know if this is an all ages show or am I swearing on this?
You can swear, that's fine.
All right, so we'd shoot the shit, and it was great. But then I wrapped it up once Facebook and Twitter became more popular because I figured rather than it just be this insulated little group of people talking to ourselves, it would be better to encourage people to go out and talk to themselves in front of other people in the masses to get more exposure. So I miss it, but I think I did the right thing at the time, but I'm kind of thinking now it would be nice to have it back again.
Well, I truly appreciate that you did that because I was just dipping my toe into the industry, getting started as deciding I wanted to be a colorist. Like, it's easy. Anybody can do it, man. Like, there's nothing to it. I thought I knew everything, and found out quickly that I knew nothing.
Well, that means you are learning, because when we start out, we're basically so dumb we don't even know how much we don't know.
Exactly. So yeah, it was integral into me learning to become a colorist. So I appreciate
it's so much easier now. There's so many YouTube videos for absolutely anything you ever want to learn.
Right.
Like micro, like fine point. Like here's an hour-long video on how to draw an eye. You know, you can just really deep dive into specifics. It's awesome. Yeah. But at the time, it was just the internet was nascent, and like there was really no other resource for finding this stuff out.
Right.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about how you got started in the industry. Did you start as a colorist, or?
I did. It's funny because people ask my origin story at conventions and stuff, and on panels, and like in hopes that they can follow in my footsteps, and they can't, because my origin story is this: I took graphic illustration at college, and so I studied as an advertising illustrator. And when I graduated, there was a company where I lived in Winnipeg. There was a company called Digital Chameleon that was one of the first 3 companies in the world to color comics on computers. And they needed butts and seats because they had these $60,000 computers. They ran 24 hours a day. They had 3 8-hour shifts. So it was a bit of a sweatshop. But they hired half of my graduating class. Basically like, hey, you guys all have the skills we need, and you're just down the street, so come work here. And I was like, all right.
That's
how
cool.
I got into comics. My dad was a graphic artist as well. He worked in animation, and he was a political cartoonist nationwide for Canada, and did courtroom sketches and stuff. And so I always wanted to follow in his footsteps. So this was a good way to I was always a comic fan. I drew comics as a kid. I just never really saw it. Growing up in Winnipeg, I never really saw it as a career possibility, because when you're living in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Canada at the time, pre-internet, there was no way for me to know how to make anything like that happen. So I thought advertising, at least I can get into that, because there's advertising agencies here and there, and I can build word of mouth. But for comics, I didn't know how to get in. So this opportunity came up, and I worked at Digital Chameleon for, 4 years, something like that. And then when the price of computers went from $60,000 down to $12,000, I took out a loan and bought one, and that was me on my way.
Took out a loan and bought one. That's that's hilarious.
It was so prohibitively expensive. Like I remember an Epson 11x17 scanner at the time cost about $2,000 Canadian. Even 80 megabytes of RAM, just 80 megabytes of RAM was $3,000. It was just, the pricing was just nuts. And you'd have to do a process in Photoshop and then go get a coffee. Like run a gradient filter and go get a coffee.
What was the first computer you ever did anything on?
When I was 12, I had a Commodore 64.
Okay.
And it had a graphics tablet called the Koala Pad. And it was awful. It was not reliable. You'd draw on it, and it was pixel by pixel art, obviously, for a Commodore 64. But it would put the wrong color down half the time. So you'd have to go back and stab at it till it got it right. And then when I went to college, I started off with Photoshop version. It was 1.5 or version 2, one of the two. They came out like 6 months apart. Photoshop was like fast developed at the time.
Mm-hmm.
On a big, huge Wacom tablet called the Art Z2. It was like this big, 10-pound graphics tablet. So like early days of all this stuff.
Yeah. My first computer was a K Pro 4.
Nice.
It was a heavy metal thing. The actual computer was in the base, and your programs were on one floppy, and you recorded onto another. And your game was ping pong on a little green screen where it could go bonk, 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 and that was it.
Classic. You still have that thing?
I still do it. I haven't fired it up in decades, but last
Oh,
time I
that's
did
cool.
it, it worked.
That's great.
Those hamsters running it, man, must be pretty old.
Yeah, you got a little gold mine there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't know if you.
Well, I think it had a whopping a 4K of RAM or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I believe it.
Oh, my first computer was a Gateway, like the cow, emblem. Was that the Gateways, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
in the '90s.
Oh,
That was my first home computer. So
you like 12?
no, I was in my 20s. So
Okay,
yeah.
it kills me. I remember gateways. Yeah.
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 Very cool.
So talk a little bit about your first coloring jobs and working your way to bigger and
Yeah,
bigger.
I mean, yeah, I guess I had kind of, when I was working at Digital Chameleon, I worked myself up to a position where I was like the guy people would go to get stuff done. Like Fleer trading cards would ask for me in particular, and yeah, my name got around to publishers. So when I left Digital Chameleon, I contacted Dark Horse, and they were really interested in working with me. So I ended up working with Dark Horse, like almost like an unofficial exclusive thing with Dark Horse for about 5 years. I ended up coloring tons and tons of Star Wars stuff for them, which was great. It was in the, like, I think the golden zone of working on Star Wars properties, because it was when the prequels were first coming out, but Lucasfilm was really kind of loosey-goosey about controlling what was done in the comics. You could get away with a lot that you can't get away with now. Like I know a lot of guys who work on Star Wars stuff now, and like Lucasfilm is really hands-on with this stuff, and the approvals process is really slow. But at the time, like I think I wrote and drew a story about Darth Maul being like a little kid running amok like just causing trouble, and just you could just write, you could do comedy stuff, you could do all sorts of stuff in the Dark Horse era. It was fun.
That's fantastic.
What years were those?
I want to say like 2002 ish.
Okay.
It would have been. This is when I first moved to Vancouver. So like before, I was working on this stuff when I still lived in Winnipeg. So like probably 1998 or 1999 through like 2002 maybe.
Ah.
I mean, time gets fuzzy at a certain point. I can't remember specific dates.
Right.
But it was before I went to work on the Batman, or the animated series, The Batman. So yeah.
So when you first started, did you work in were you still considered a color separator, or did you miss that?
My first job was as a color separator. Yeah. So
Okay.
At Digital Chameleon, that's all I ever did. I was discouraged from becoming a colorist when I worked there, which is sad to say. I think they kind of liked me in my position there and didn't want me to leave.
Right.
Because if I had both parts of the puzzle, then I wouldn't really need them. So I get it from their perspective, although it's not, it is what it is. I ended up leaving for the first book I did at Dark Horse. I just did separations, and then they immediately realized I could just color. So that's how that worked for them.
Okay.
So I just became a colorist, just like that. It was great.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah. The good thing about starting off as a separator, though, is you can kind of learn techniques without having to put your name on stuff. It's sort of like a apprentice system in a way, which is, yeah.
That is interesting. I've not heard anybody else talk about doing it that way.
So, like how? What do you mean?
That they started out separating other people's color. So were you working from the basic markups? So R2 white.
So I'd get pencil crayon guides or marker guides or whatever, watercolor guides. Depends on what I was working on.
Yeah. Back when I started, when I was running Innovation Comics, and we were in the middle of doing all the big licenses, we were doing a couple of Final Hero Alliance issues, and we had brought aboard somebody that we gave them markups on half a book, and they did the computer color. It was our
Mhm.
first experiments with it. And then the second half, which was another story, he said, well, I can do that part too. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. And we got it, and that was our first ever experiment with it. And I'd have to say that was late 1991.
Oof.
Because, yeah,
And it was
we,
just one person doing that?
yeah.
Oh,
And
how long did that take them?
I honestly don't remember, but we got it turned around fairly quickly. I'm trying to remember the fella's name. He had been a DC production guy for many years, and wish I had the book in front of me that I could dig that up. But he did a fine job, and I had hoped to bring him on full time, but uh, at the time, Innovations Money people had other plans, and the company ended up going nowhere because of it.
Right.
Yeah,
That
so
happens.
which is why I left and started Glass House, and here I am 30 some years later. So,
Right.
and in any case, I'm always fascinated not only by the process, but how people get in, what they do with it, and so on. You mentioned working on Batman the animated series. So you were
The animated series, The Batman.
okay.
2 different shows.
All right, then let's talk a bit about that. How did you end up in the animation industry doing
Well,
anime?
I sort of fell into that one too. I was working with Jeff Matsuda on a bunch of stuff at Dark Horse. We were working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer covers and interiors for stuff. And yeah, Jeff's a great guy and he's really fun to work with. And we got sort of palsy. And he worked in animation at the same time too. Like he was working on Jackie Chan Adventures, and I don't know what he was working on before that. I don't know if he was on Godzilla, but a lot of the guys who worked on the Batman had worked together and moved around from production to production. A lot of those guys worked on Jackie Chan Adventures too. But I'm sidetracking here. So Jeff and I were working on all these Buffy covers, and he said, "Hey, like I'm putting together a bunch of pitches for some shows at Warner Brothers. Do you want to color all these pitches?" So I colored a bunch of pitches. We had one like a basketball animated series, and we did a pitch for Kangaroo Jack, which ended up being done by another team. And we did a pitch for Batman. And Warner Brothers picked it up. So Jeff called me up and he's like, "Hey man, you want to work on the show?" And I'm like, "Sure." You want to be the color supervisor? I'm like, "I've never worked in animation before, but sure, if you want me to run the department." I mean, sure. So that was my dipping my toe in the world of animation, was just being pushed into the deep end of the ocean. And I think it worked out. The show was really fun to work on. It did really well. It won a bunch of Emmys and stuff. So,
in my opinion,
at the time,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, just at the time, people didn't super love it because everybody wanted Bruce Timm Batman forever, But I think now with like the I don't know, the benefit of time, people look back on it more nostalgically, especially if people grew up with that show instead of the Batman the animated series. So at conventions and stuff, I get a little more like, I feel better about about the show, because often when I'll say to people, "Hey, I worked on the Batman," they'll say, "Oh, you worked on the Batman animated series?" And I'm like, "No, the Jeff Matsuda one, the one that's similarly named but is a totally different thing." And they'll be like, "Oh." But now I get, "Oh."
Well, belated love is better than no love at all.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'll take it.
And in my opinion, the Batman is, next to the animated series, like it's one of the best Batman series out there. So
it got better. It got better. It got really hamstrung. I could do a whole show with you guys about all the stuff they did to our show, because our original pitch was for it to be an Adult Swim Batman. It was supposed to be this super gritty, dark Batman show. The sizzle reel we did for it was Batman beating this guy up in a dank alleyway and punching him so hard that his face was squishing through chain link fencing. It was like really intense. And then it got to the version of the show that aired, and it was to the point where they were like, "Oh, well, the police can't have guns. They have to just show their badges and say, 'Please stop.'"
Wow.
So it got really hamstrung, which made it weird having our very strange Joker, because our Joker was super insane and had like 8-ball hemorrhage eyeballs, like he was just totally, like, our original concept for the Joker was he was really bad news. And then we had this like really watered down version of it. We still had this crazy looking Joker, and it was like people were a little confused, rightly so, I think.
Yeah, because he was almost like this like Hunchback of Notre Dame type style Joker, and he was voiced by what's his name?
Something Michael something.
I can't think of his name, but yeah. And so again, in my opinion, one of the most iconic Jokers since Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah,
so
he was great, and a great voice. He was awesome,
fantastic. Yeah. And which brings me to another one of my absolute favorites, Batman versus Dracula.
Yeah, Peter Stormare, who played Dracula in that movie, recorded some of his dialogue. It was really hot in the recording booth, so he was just recording in his underpants at one point. That's your little behind the scenes story.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you did, I mean, you worked on that too as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. Oh, and I did the box art for that with Jeff too. Warner Brothers had their team produce the box art for the movie, and Jeff and I were so saddened by what they did that he and I just redid it for free. So,
oh wow! Okay.
The box art, and they got real weird about that at Warner Brothers too, because Dracula on the cover was originally going like this, and they were like, "Well, this is going to be in like the shopping, this is going to be in the grocery stores, so we don't want moms to be there with their little kids and think, oh, I'm going to pick up this movie, but it looks too scary. So can you take Dracula and like maybe close his mouth so we don't see his vampire teeth, and maybe can you take his hands and go from this to like this." So his fingers aren't all scary.
Oh my goodness! Just constantly snip, snip, snip.
Yeah.
We don't want
off all the edges.
We don't want to surprise these parents who see Dracula on the front and them be concerned that it might be scary.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
clearly, I'm missing something, and I'm a parent.
So, let's take a look at some of your artwork.
Sure.
That you sent us. So then we can talk about some of that. Was this a cover or a pinup?
Did I send you that?
Oh, you know what? No, I picked this one out of your gallery.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine, man. Yeah, that was fun. That was Dave Johnson. I can't remember what the series were, but it's two covers, so it's so you get the Superman side and the Batman side, and I thought that was really cool.
That would make a really nice statue.
It would make a great statue. Yeah.
Oh, somebody needs to 3D print that sucker.
Oh, I mean, it's got to be Superman versus Batman because Dave drew the giant V in there. I don't know how I didn't pick up on that right away. But even little details that Dave put in there, like the bats versus the peaceful doves, it's just great.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So these are I drew these guys when Prince and David Bowie died. I knew the art director at Vice magazine. This is when I was living in New York, and so they picked these things up. So these were basically for Vice magazine.
Very nice. And
so I don't draw as often as I would like to, but I drew these guys.
But you have a phenomenal style, and I love seeing your original art, man. It's fantastic stuff.
This is for Invincible, so I have been blessed with like the best, working relationship ever. Robert Kirkman seems to like my stuff, so he hires me to do all sorts of things, like I'm coloring all of The Walking Dead. And I, for the 20th anniversary of Invincible, which was a couple summers ago, he asked me to color all of the collection covers, which is a surprising number of covers. It's like 100 covers or something like that. It's for all the compendiums and the digest-sized library, the digest-sized books. There's 24 of those, and the library editions, which are the big, oversized hardcovers. And then for the show, he's started to ask me to do publicity stuff for the show. So this is for season 2.5. So if you watched this on Prime, this would have been the, load screen on Prime. I don't know what you'd call it now. Key art is what we call it in the biz. And they made big big, huge billboards of this, like 3D. There was a big 3D billboard of this at Times Square, which is really cool, where there was Fist was coming out of the billboard.
That's very, very cool. That's
Yeah, it was
amazing.
awesome. So I've been really fortunate. It's super fun to work on this stuff, and I'm just a super happy guy. This is from one of my favorite projects, if not my absolute favorite project I've worked on, called Low, with Rick Remender. I love working with Rick Remender. Rick Remender and Robert Kirkman seem to be my two main guys that I work with these days. This was post-apocalypse story where where humanity lives at the bottom of the ocean to escape the impending heat death of the surface of the earth. And the story is about this woman who has to try to save humanity by finding a probe that's landed on the surface of the earth, which is populated by these mutated rat people and wasp people, and they have to sort of save the planet against all odds. And this is a panel where these two humans are trying to sneak around all these wasp people in this giant city. That's one panel from the book you're looking at there. So you can probably imagine it was a very time-consuming book to work on.
I remember reading you talking about like how much work this was, because every page and every panel is just this huge sweeping like multi-character. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It was very hard to schedule that book. It's really interesting working color on books with wildly different art teams, because some books you can color a page in an hour and a half or 2 hours if it's very stylized cartooning, like when I'm working with Charlie Adler on Walking Dead. He puts these big volumes of black in his work so that you imagine all of the stuff that's happening in the background instead of it actually being there. Raphael Albuquerque's like that too. You can color some people's stuff really quickly, but then you work with people who are primarily painters, like this stuff here, and it's really time consuming. Or if I work with Yannick Paquette, I'm doing a book with Yannick Paquette with Rick Remender right now too, and Yannick Paquette and I worked on an InCal book a couple years ago too, and it's just so you go from an hour and a half for a page to like 10 hours for a page. It's hard to schedule if you don't know what's coming.
So you do like basically change your style depending on the line art and what the story is and everything.
Oh, I think you have to. I think I mean, if you're doing it right, your goal is to create a cohesive piece of art. You know, it's like being a session musician in a band, right? Like if you're going to be playing drums, you might be playing something really simple for one band, and if you're playing in a jazz band or something, you might have all these crazy riffs in 4 or 5 time or something. You got to change it up depending on what you're working on to make it all sound like it's one source. You know,
Sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow.
So this is from The Sacrificers, another book I'm working on with Rick Remender. So you can see, it's really small, so you can't really see it, but I've got this sort of like dry gouache and watercolor approach that I'm working on with this book. I try to use different brushes depending on what I'm coloring. Some things like Walking Dead, I'll do like in the really flat style. Like there's very little brushstroke stuff going on in Walking Dead. It's almost all like flat selections, because Charlie Adler's drawing is, like I was saying, really flat and cartoony. So I want to match that with the coloring style. But when I'm working on stuff like this with Max Fiumara, I want it to look, again, cohesive. So like he's got this really pebbly, washy, organic looking drawing style. So I try to match that with the color. It's really fun coloring that book. Sacrificers is awesome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal looking stuff. So good.
Oh, this is more of my stuff. So I got hired by this publisher, Magma Comics, to do a cover for a book called The Scale Trade, and it was like the ultimate perfect. It's the prompt you want to get from any editor, which is, hey, just draw whatever you want. The idea with Scale Trade is it's like some world where like dragons are like a mix of animal X plus dragon. and then the story is about these people trying to stop poachers from, like, I guess, capturing and using them in whatever capacity they do in the story. So I thought to myself, it would be really cool to do like a snail, a snail dragon, because there's this type of snail, this real snail that grows iron scales along its mantle.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I thought, it's already halfway there. Let's go with that. So yeah.
Yeah, those snails are badass looking too, man.
Yeah, they're super cool and huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Walking Dead. So yeah, I mean, the interiors are all Charlie Adler after issue 8. But so for Walking Dead Deluxe, the premise is it's me coloring all of the interiors, and David Finch is doing the main cover on all the books. So David Finch does the cover, and then I recolor the original, usually Charlie Adler cover. So there's at least 2 covers that I'm coloring for every issue. So this was for, I don't know, issue 47, I think. Okay.
And how long have you been working on The Walking Dead for? I mean,
7 years.
7 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you find yourself like still enjoying the process, or
I
is it?
love this book. I'm so happy to be able to say that, because I have worked on stuff where I'm like, when is this going to end? I wish this was going to go on forever. It's super fun. Charlie's stuff is great. He's so good at drawing like bottled up emotion. So it's really fun to just do all these little subtle things around people's eyes and stuff, like when Rick gets mad, which is every other panel. It's fun. It's funny. I'm always telling people at conventions that it's really fun because Rick is always just punching people, and I'm working on after this interview, I'm working on a page where like Rick punches somebody and then somebody punches Rick, and then everybody's just holding their bloody mouths and glaring at each other. That stuff is really fun to color.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, in addition to being, one of the best colorists in the industry, working in animation, a phenomenal artist in your own right, you also are an avid cook.
I am. Yeah, I am. I like, when I'm done my day job of making art, I like the idea of having some other artistic pursuit that is not remotely connected to it. Even though I love drawing, I don't draw for fun after work. So cooking has become that for me. So I love the idea of just making stuff from scratch too, like doing the whole process. Like if I had my way, I live in an apartment, but otherwise I'd be growing wheat, grinding it to make my bread. I try to get to basics, like make my own cheese and make my own sausages and make my own this and make my own that. I make all my own pasta if I can.
Really? See?
Oh yeah.
Making pasta is my kryptonite. Like,
it's so easy.
I can never get it to turn out right. It's always so just dense and chewy and just doesn't work.
Would you like the secret?
I would love the secret.
1 egg, 100 grams of flour.
Okay. And that's it.
That's it.
No salt, no oil, no nothing.
Nothing.
All right. I'm going to give that a try, because
that's the Jamie Oliver recipe, and it is
okay.
Super easy. Just let it like make your ball, let it like cover it in saran wrap, let it sit for half an hour, and then roll it out.
Okay, I'm gonna try that. I didn't hope. Yeah, fingers crossed. Because
portions, it's so easy with the portions. 1 egg, 100 grams of flour.
Okay, hang on here. This is like asking the inker, what brush do you use? What brand of India ink do you use?
Right.
What are you using? What is your pasta roller or whatever?
Oh, I mean, I can't remember. It's that the brand that everybody, it starts with an M. I can't remember the name of the brand, but it's the standard roller.
All right.
And then I've got a 2-step process that I use. I have the standard roller to do my sheets,
mm-hmm.
and then I have a KitchenAid that I run with the what do you call it? Linguine cutter. Okay. So I'll roll out my sheets, and then I have the linguine cutter, and I can just go straight to it.
Okay.
So it's super streamlined. So it's really
Very
fast.
nice.
So if I'm making
Very nice.
pasta, it's like really fast.
Okay, and you sure that there's not something like secret in Canadian eggs, right? That like Americans don't get.
Actually, the secret is the Canadian flour. Canadian flour tends to be some of the best flour in the world. And if you want to go with good flour in the States, you want to be going with King Arthur. Not that I'm name dropping. They're not paying me to tell you this or anything. But yeah, King Arthur tends to like. I don't know of any other. Like I don't really know my American flour brands well. I know King Arthur's reliable, but in Canada, like you can just pick up pretty much anything.
Okay.
And it'll be great, which is great.
Fantastic.
Double O flour is nice if you like it. If you don't want it to be too chewy, you want it to be really soft. I'd say if it depends on how you like your pasta. I tend to roll mine really thin. I roll it out to 6 on the roller. But
this fascinates me actually because I do a lot of cooking. My daughter does all sorts of baking from scratch, but I've never made pasta. I've always been too lazy, and it's like, no, I could just buy that at the store.
It's easier to like. And I have a farmer's. Oh, my cat just decided to live on my back for a second there, and there's a farmer's market down the street from me on Sundays, and they have a great place that makes pasta. So I maybe have been just buying it from them lately because it costs the same and it's easier. And it's fresh.
Right.
Yeah, but like, there's something about this pasta that I really like thin rolled up pasta, and I like egg based pasta. So this.
Well,
very
appreciate
cool.
You sharing that.
What is your favorite? Do you have a favorite cuisine?
I don't. I have pretty broad tastes, I think. I mean, I tend like at home when I'm cooking, I tend to stick with like French style cooking. I don't really I don't really leave that safety zone as much as I think I'd like to. But I do a lot of basic stuff. I have like a routine unless I'm trying to show off to friends. Like every week I'll roast a chicken. And then the grocery store near me sells, and this is a miracle. I'm so happy I have this grocery store. They sell like turkey backs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I can make awesome stock. So I'll roast a chicken, and then the next day I'll roast the turkey bones, and then I'll use my pressure cooker to make stock, because a pressure cooker is the best way to make stock.
Very nice.
It forces all of the marrow out of the bones.
I agree. Yeah, I see a lot of your photos. Like am I correct in saying you do you do fusion stuff?
Yeah,
fusion
sometimes.
Cuisine. Yeah. I see in a lot of your photos, it seems like you do a lot of fusion stuff. So
yeah, I try. And I have friends who we share recipes and stuff. Like I've got a friend in town here who's turned me on to this really great Moroccan bean soup.
Oh, soup is my thing. I love making soup. My favorite thing to make. Of course, I did recently turn 52, so I'm into smoking meat now.
Nice.
I think that's a prerequisite for turning.
I can't do it. I'm so frustrated because when I lived in Toronto, I had a big barrel smoker, and I can't use it here. I can't use anything that uses briquettes on my balcony. I can only use electric and gas.
Like a pellet smoker, right?
I can't use a pellet smoker here.
Oh wow!
I'm not allowed to. It makes me very sad. I have a little Breville tabletop smoker, and I have an oven smoker, and I have of course liquid smoke, but none of that's the same.
Right.
You're not going to get that 12-hour nice, 1/4-inch thick red line on your meat.
Exactly. Yeah, I just smoked a brisket last week, and so good.
Nice.
Nothing like a fresh smoked brisket. And Dave is you've been into Wagyu lately.
Me? You?
Oh, David. Sorry.
This one.
Yeah.
Chris has been spying on my Facebook. I bought a 6-pound Japanese what is it, A5 Wagyu.
Oh, nice.
And
so you bought a bar of soap.
Yeah, and it's been fascinating because I very carefully sliced it up into what'll be 5 or 6 different meals for us,
Hmm.
and did up the first one, and it was amazing. But that stuff you can only eat small amounts.
Yep.
Yeah. So and then we after we did that, and I sliced it up, and we cooked it up just right. I went to several videos to find the best way to do this, and then of course we cooked off all rendered all the extra fat and had the tallow for later.
Nice.
And uh, since then, we have, because I had a nice container of the tallow, we've been adding it anytime we've been doing any other kind of beef, including making burgers
Hmm.
and making everything a bit more amazing.
Right.
And so it was nice, but in limited amounts. And honestly, I've only done it the once. So we still have 4 or 5 meals left. And I have 2 friends of ours that are professional cooks,
Hmm.
and they have vowed to come over sometime this month, each grab a 1 pound package of the Wagyu and do a cook off at our house.
Nice.
Which,
So,
of course, you're going to film because yeah, you have to film that.
of course, but I've got to be number one with the taste test because it is my house.
Right. Fair.
Exactly.
So,
And David also, every year I kind of look forward to this. He posts his Thanksgiving Day videos, and basically I swear he like goes out on the streets and like drags artists away from their drawing boards, like, come on, take a break, come over to my house. And he hosts like 35 people at his house for
yeah, it is
Thanksgiving.
pretty much like that, and
Nice.
um, it's the one time my wife does very little of the cooking because it's all, as she says, American stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, but any other party we do, I'll cook a few things, and then she'll do all her Filipino cooking, which is usually absolutely amazing. But I'll do the turkey and the dressing and just all this stuff, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy putting together parties and having friends come over.
Hmm.
Uh, my wife is sometimes not so happy with the mess because I try to clean as I go along, but don't always succeed, especially at the very end, because, if you're serving it up, everything's got to come together in that last 5 minutes to
Right.
be all hot and presentable at the same time. And then my wife wants to take pictures. So we got to take the pictures first before everybody dives in. And it's still got to be hot. So I can't have the stuff sitting for too long.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Chris, you can make it for the next one,
There you go.
or if you make
I
it,
will.
if you Dave make it down to Orlando at some point, well, we can do a nice cooking thing here. I have not only the really nice professional type kitchen here, but we have a full kitchen outside with the huge pizza oven
Oh, nice.
and all that. And we've been talking about trying to use the pizza oven as a smoker. Friend of mine wants to come over and do that, but he's just not had the time yet. So
Right.
looking forward to that before the summer's out.
I will have to make the 12-hour drive to Florida.
12 hours. Wow.
Yeah. And for you, Dave, it's
A little more. A little
yeah,
more.
just a
Yeah.
little more. So, do you want to talk about what you have going on currently, or what you're doing, what you're working on?
Yeah. I mean, I still have 2.5 years of Walking Dead to do. And then I think there's maybe
The
5
job
issues of the
security.
Sacrificers. What's that?
I said the job security is good.
Oh, no complaints. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Like when Robert called me and asked me if I wanted to work on it, I'm like, I mean, he originally called and asked about. He was like, "Hey, I've got 2 projects you might want," and I can't even remember what the first one was. And he's like, "Or you could color Walking Dead," and I'm like, "Why did you?"
Bury the
Time.
lead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the 9 or 10 years of work. Thanks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you working on any new animation things or?
Not right now. I mean, I don't know what's going on with season 4 for Invincible. Hopefully, I'm still doing promotional stuff for that. But that would have been it. And then I'm working on Sacrificers. I think I've got 5 issues of Sacrificers left to do. And then I've got a bunch of other stuff with Rick Remender I'm working on, basically. Like stuff that's slow burn stuff.
Right.
That isn't getting announced yet. But
Okay. Very, very cool.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, coming on and chatting with us about everything under the sun. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Get to talk about cooking on a comic show. I'm happy.
Right. Yeah. It's been fantastic talking with you.
And now I've got to go back and rewatch some of those Batman animateds.
The Batman.
Yeah.
Yes. The Batman, the Jeff
Yeah.
Matsuda style.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead, Dave.
I learned so much today. Thank you very much for being
Yeah.
here.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. You have a great rest of your day, Dave.
Thanks. See you guys.
All right. Bye.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Yes, it was. It was.
It's funny to me. It's like I know everybody on my roster. 200 plus artists and several hundred that I've taught over the years. But you seem to know everybody else. So between the two of us, we're covering the whole comics industry pretty well.
I haven't been in the business as long as you, but I've been doing this for almost 19 years. So I've met a few people, or been acquainted with a few people. So
yeah, and that's one of the things I want to segue into here. How long did you and I start communicating before we started being every day and a lot of work?
So it was 2008, I believe, when I first sent my portfolio to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you really liked what I showed you. And I got my first job and flubbed it up completely. And so then on and off throughout the years, I got in different projects from you and different stuff. And then in 2023, I think it was, we started communicating more and you started giving me more projects. We had you on my other podcast, Quote the Raven with Lewis. And you talked to me about, you said, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to do a podcast. And I'm like, okay, cool. Who are you going to get to co-host? You said, I don't know, you? I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, that works. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. And it's been that way ever since. Been working on.
The reason I brought that up is that we do these portfolio reviews on this show,
right?
And I'm not sure what some artists expect, but they'll submit a portfolio. I'll give them a review, and usually the review is an honest one. So it's here's what you need to work on. Here's what doesn't work. Here's what you could do better. Revise this and show me.
Mm-hmm.
And almost no artist wants to do those revisions. They'll make the mistake of just sending me something new. And then I get frustrated because, all right, you didn't learn from the process. You didn't see what to fix. And if you're working with a real editor, they're going to ask you to fix stuff.
Right.
Or if I give somebody a job and they blow it, that is not the end of the world. They can regroup, come back at a future time and do better.
Right.
And sometimes it's a timing process as far as, right place, right time kind of thing. I had someone that was my go-to guy for a bunch of design, production, video editing stuff. And I worked with this fellow for 10 years. And I, there was a lot of stuff I probably should have learned to do in Photoshop or in video editing. And I'd say, I'm gonna be working on this today. He says, well, what do you think I'm here for? So I would just send it to him. He'd do it, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. And then he passed.
Unfortunately, yes.
And so that left an opening, but it also left an opportunity. And as I worked with you, it became obvious that beyond coloring, you had all these other skills. And so little by little, you became the guy. So we talk every day about just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're involved in elements of my Kickstarters, all my videos, coloring things here and there. But you came to me as a colorist, but you're doing a lot of things that aren't coloring because you had skills above and beyond.
Right.
If I have 40 guys who can color, but one guy who can do all this other stuff, I'm going to come to you for that other stuff. And that's what a lot of these artists submitting don't understand. The more I know about what they're capable of doing, the more opportunities are there. So somebody might come to me at the opposite, might be a video editor, and they're not that good at being a video editor. But if it turns out, oh, wow, you did coloring work on this. Oh, yeah, I can do that too. And they might be a brilliant colorist. Then I may, segue the job opportunities to what they do better,
Right.
because there are more opportunities, meaning more money for them.
Right, exactly. And I truly appreciate the opportunities that you have given me. So
and it's become a learning experience because we're developing that whole new part of the business that you're going to be in charge of, and we'll talk about that at another date. But that's going to be exciting. I am wearing the blue because Fantastic Four came out last week. Now, I'm thinking that we should do a full-scale review of Fantastic Four, but do it next Saturday so that enough of our viewers have had a chance to see it. Because when we do reviews, they're going to be all spoilers.
Right.
So maybe I'll wash and rewear the shirt for next week, and I'm sorry, I don't have the 4 on it, but unlike the Superman logo I had when we reviewed Superman last week. Looking forward to doing that with you.
Yeah. I enjoy every chance I get to go to our movie theater because, like I said, huge seats, big table trays, they recline, they're heated. Like you could take a nap. So it's really great going there. Do we want to do? We have a portfolio review, I believe, that we didn't get to last week.
Yeah, I think we have a couple. We have a single page from someone, and then a few pages from somebody else, and haven't looked at them in quite a while. So let's see what we have. All righty, this is the one that we had several pages of, and
yes,
I look at this guy, and I think, all right, it's not bad. He has drawing skills. Let me quickly go through what we have here, and then I'll come back to, okay. The way I usually review a portfolio, I'll do a quick, scan through all this stuff, and then go back once I know the overall flavor of it, and then look at specifics. So this guy does have some drawing skills, and I could see him getting work from the smaller companies now. What I would advise him from an editing standpoint is to think a bit more about why he does certain things within the layouts. For example, he has a pretty nice establishing shot of the street here. I like I don't know, there's this balloon that's blowing around, and he has smoke coming up from the top of one of them. I would have probably added some birds or something, some crap out on the street, stuff to make it look more real.
Right.
If that balloon is a helium balloon, it wouldn't come down that way, so it's obviously not one. Um, it seemed odd to me the way the guy was picking it up. It seemed like he was picking up something more solid rather than something squishy. So it
Right.
just seemed a little off. Why is he using inset panels? Are using insets to the main panel or to the main establishing shot telling the story any better? I'm trying to figure a story reason to do it rather than him thinking he's clever. I would rather have seen those as just panels across the bottom.
Right.
Uh,
Yes. Your dislike of unnecessary inset panels is very well known.
yeah, and so that does bother me a bit. Um, let's see. Okay, again, maybe this is from a different story then. Okay. So, all right, light bulb shot.
I did try to put these in order for
Yeah.
you. So
All right. So, looking at this,
this is
and
the darkness, I believe.
okay, this is, it's like, it's okay. Uh, it looks like it's from a guy who never read the basics of how to draw the marble way, so there's nothing really visually interesting about the layout. It's like the main character, arms at his sides, no expression, nothing affecting anything else. Um, he tries to make the bulb seem important by highlighting it so much in in each tier of panels. I hope it pays off in the next scene. Okay.
It does because he's got to put the light out so he can bring forth his darkness
Got it.
minions.
Got it. Um, a lot of this, though, just seems disjointed. You've got this big panel of him with the creatures coming out. Look all the way in the corner, and you see the foot. So I don't understand the visual story flow of this because you have the monsters at either side. Okay, they're looking to the right. He's looking down. His left arm is pointing down. All the characters, the monsters in the bottom and his left foot are all pointing toward the right. So that takes the reader's gaze all the way over into the guy's foot over on the right side,
Exactly.
which would then force the reader to read up.
Mhm.
Now you get to that panel, which is the close up of the eyes pointing off panel, that takes you out of the page. There's nothing visually that takes me up to seeing panel 2 and the guy surrounded by the monsters, and then the guy turning the light bulb back on, and then having the phone call. It's like it's disjointed in that sense because the storytelling, the way he sets it up visually, isn't the way it needs to be read.
Right.
So, were I looking at this, I would pretty much ignore panels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Right.
because the artist told us to ignore them. So I have a problem with that. Let's go from here. All right. I'm a little confused. Okay, I guess he turned the light back on,
Yeah,
on
which makes them disappear. Yeah.
Okay. But on this page, it's still lit, but they're there. And
I
am
don't
I?
know if he was working from a Top Cow script, or I'm not sure, or if this just came out of his head. I'm not sure. So
I'm not sure either. So, but something seems off.
right.
So I don't get it, or maybe that's supposed to be symbolic that he's in the dialogue. He's saying, the monsters are there. And
Well,
I,
I think it's because he's showing them right at the edge of the light.
mm,
Maybe that's.
maybe, but I don't think he pulled that off
Right.
particularly well, especially since the way he's rendering some line work into the shadow. He's pretty close to the guy, so the light wouldn't. It's like if I have a light right here, it doesn't die 3 feet
Right.
away. So
Right.
so again, something about the storytelling isn't quite right. Um, he was holding the phone in his right in his right hand. Fortunately, we see him putting it away in panel 2. He's putting it into a vest pocket. So it does work that he reaches up to do that. So he's getting those things right. But something's a little off. Okay, this is from a different sequence, um,
Yes.
different
Spider
story.
Man.
Yeah.
Spider Man.
And this is pretty cool. I like the big panel. In the case of the fight and the overlaps, in this case, I don't have a big problem with it. He's trying to uh, get a lot of action there. So if he were working from script, maybe the script told him, give us the big panel of the bad guy doing his thing, and then a bunch of small panels of the fight. Um, that's not the way I would necessarily have done it, because some of the biggest, most dramatic shots are being lost in panels that are going to print not much bigger than my thumb.
Right.
And
Exactly.
not much room for dialogue in any of that. So I'd be concerned, but if he were working from a full script, he'd know whether there's dialogue or not. And
Right.
he didn't send a script along, so I do not know. Okay, I was looking for the establishing of that open wall, and he does have it on the bottom left. Okay, so there's the open wall.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
this gentleman clearly has drawing skill. It's just his panel layout seemed to be a little wonky, and like you said, his continuity and everything seems to be
Yeah,
a little off.
yeah, and from what I can tell, most of his characters here have faces covered, but the little bit of faces that I am seeing um, seems like he'd use a little work there. He doesn't on this page seem to get um, foreshortening right in some of it. It's like I'm looking in the bottom right panel, and the character has his dukes up, but he's got really small hands in comparison with his head.
Right.
So there's a bunch of little things like that. Uh, I'm not quite getting, and I think the first panel and the second panel overall work. Um, there's just stuff about it that's not quite as strong as it should be. But it's somebody that I'd be willing to like give another test plot to,
Yeah.
something that I can supervise because I know what's expected,
Right.
and see how he would work from that to see what I would get. Um, I'm seeing, I'm looking through some of this, and it's like it's all okay. Maybe if you put a terrific inker on it that it would be more than serviceable work. But I think the storytelling could be stronger. Now, I look at this and I'm totally bored by the page. Yes, I know it's a conversation page, but you look at a John Buscema, a Joe Bennett, a Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and they can make conversational pages interesting.
Right.
Even
Not
go
just a
back,
bunch of
yeah, even go back to the old, John Romita's Spider-Man issues, and it's pages of Peter Parker talking to Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane or hanging out at the coffee bean, and they're more interesting than that. It's not a full page of long shots.
right and talking heads.
Yeah, and so this is one of many artists who could learn a lot just by looking from the best guys that came before him and not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I
And
don't need, yeah, go ahead.
if I remember correctly, I believe this gentleman is working for companies like McCAIG and possibly like IDW and stuff like that. So I think he is working in the mid tiers. So
Yeah,
he's learning
and
as he goes.
yeah, and you can see that, and I'm glad he is getting work. I think under the gaze of a strong editor who knows his stuff, he will learn more and get better if he's willing to listen to that stuff.
Absolutely.
So when people send stuff to me to review like this, it helps me to review it cold. I don't want to be colored by whether they're working somewhere or not. I'm looking at it. Were I the editor, what would I be looking for?
Right.
And then my second step is we sell to Mad Cave and IDW and so forth. So I know what their ideal is. And um, uh, so I know what to coach the people on to get stronger. Because, if you're working for a company, it's like, yeah, I'm already working there. Well, congratulations. Are you the best guy there, or are you the worst guy there? I know the editor would greatly appreciate if you were the best guy there. So you can always learn more, be better.
Absolutely.
So a guy like this, if he would say, I don't know if he's working there, I would say, okay, now look at what Will Conrad is doing on Flash Gordon there, and compare your work to his, where Will is doing basically everything right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's much you can learn even from something like that. So the guy's pretty good. I think over time and with some guidance, he could be much better. And that's the goal, to be as good as you possibly can, still being able to turn work out on deadline, because the better you are, the better jobs you're going to get and the more money you can command.
Exactly. Yeah. You never want to stay stagnant in this business. You always want to be open to learning and to getting better.
Yeah.
Regardless of what level you're at.
Yeah. As I've said before, I get artists, some who worked for me or are working for me, that will get jobs at say Dynamite, that are paying a certain amount of money per page. And they get frustrated because Marvel doesn't call, DC doesn't call, that kind of thing. I've had some that worked on projects that say Dynamite did a license deal with Marvel. And so it was, whatever Marvel character and Vampirella or whatever. And they worked on that. It's like, well, I worked on Marvel characters. Why doesn't Marvel call? Because they looked at it and just kind of rolled their eyes. Because that artist never got to the next level. They got comfortable putting X amount of work into a page for this page rate, rather than I'm going to work harder for a while for that page rate, so that I'm good enough so that DC and Marvel are going to give me the work.
Right.
And so that's the difference there. So always strive to get better. All right, who else do we have?
Let me find that. I got talking to you and I forgot to upload the
And that is fine.
and this is our one pager.
All righty.
Hold on here.
We got a bark instead of a drum roll. That's fine.
We did. There. And this was a single page that was sent to you, I believe. So
yeah, all right. Let me pull this up. It was interesting that this fellow wanted to do a rendered pencil technique. So I wasn't gonna say, oh no, it needed to be tight, clean pencils, or it needed to be inked, or whatever. I'm reviewing it on the basis of what it is.
right.
And I'm going to start with that center panel. This is from one of the 4-page test plots that are on my website. And it's one that I often recommend people that are going to do superhero stuff to give a try to, because they're going to do female characters that a lot of editors, especially independents and Kickstarter clients, want artists who can draw girls. So having something with Wonder Woman and later on Supergirl in it are helpful. This page I've often described her being on the city street and it being something where kids are happy to run up to her and give her a hug and get an autograph or whatever. The way he staged it, I loved all the characters that are around on the scene. It's like, okay, they're doing selfies, but getting Wonder Woman in the background, kind of thing. I thought that was clever. I liked the girl that was there. Didn't like so much the girl clinging to her mom's leg, which was kind of the opposite of what I was trying to get across. I had hoped for like multiple kids around. It's a little hard to see the way he staged it that that the girl is asking for her autograph on a magazine. It's just kind of too far away. Had he brought the character more into foreground and then had all this other stuff happening in the background, it would have been stronger to tell that story.
Right.
All right. The first two panels, insets. What the hell are those insets doing there? It's odd to me that, all right, in the establishing shot, the big shot, the girl's already there. It looks like Wonder Woman is holding that something already in her hands. All right, but okay, so am I supposed to read this big panel because we see it on upper left first, and then we read the two insets? Or are we supposed to read the two insets and then the big panel?
Right.
I don't know which way to go. I'm assuming I read the big panel first because when we open the page, that's where it starts. And I'm kind of lost. We talked about eye flow on one of the previous pages. We've got the building in the upper left and the gate or railings. They're all pointing down. So we go down. We see the people in the foreground taking their selfie. It's 4 people. We follow the heads going down to the dog. And the dog is looking over at the kid and Wonder Woman. Okay, that works. That's good eye flow. Now we get to Wonder Woman, see her body, her right or her left leg and her hair are moving toward the right. So we see the people looking at her from the right. We go into the The people that are taking the selfie, they're looking to the right. That takes us off the panel. All right, that's a pretty nice flow. So where do those two inset panels fit? The eye flow of that panel told us to ignore those two insets.
Right.
So that's why that kind of stuff doesn't really work. Now let's get to 1, 2, 3, 4, what is now panel 5. So you have the character taking a picture of this meteor that's coming down. It's all right, but the angle that they're taking it from, I don't think you'd really see a meteor that's high in the sky.
No,
It's
probably
like
not.
it's kind of cropped wrong, and I'm not sure where you'd place the dialogue balloons. Just a lot of stuff that wasn't left for it. So you've got Wonder Woman in the next panel. She's supposed to see what, according to the script, she's supposed to be whipping her head around and up to look at what everybody's pointing at in the previous panel. That's when she sees the meteor. And it's just a shot of her looking. She's not turning. It's not over her shoulder. There's no real flow of the hair as she's turning, as described in the script. She's not even really looking up high enough to see where the meteor would be up past the buildings. So it doesn't quite work. All right, now Wonder Woman flying up, great. Okay, that pretty well works. However, he did Wonder Woman coming up out of the panel. Well, she's going up into the panels we just saw. So I'm not a fan of that. If you're going to break the panel, it's best to break the panel to help the eye flow so she breaks into the next panel that you want people to read.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so not doing that. So then we get the panel at the bottom, which was a kind of a version of what the previous panel was described at in the script, because we were supposed to see it from her point of view.
Right.
The kids looking up as Wonder Woman's flying away, and then the pencil or pen that she was signing with is broken and on the ground. It's like, oh my God, snap! And then she flies up to do it. So the way it's staged, it's not as clear as it ought to be. So I appreciated that this guy did have a sense of eye flow in some of it, especially the big panel. Did not think that the insets worked, and I thought some of his staging didn't work anywhere near as well as it could, or some of his cropping. Panel 4, I thought could have been done a lot better. Panel 5 could have been. So a lot of the thinking can be improved, but I think he's partway there. With some guidance, I think we could improve his storytelling. I would give him guidance on improving faces, because some of the faces look a little wonky.
Yeah, and his perspective is off on some of or a lot of the panels too. So.
Yeah. So there's a lot of the thinking, the underdrawing that's got to do there. He's spending more time on rendering out the pencil lines and all that than he is on the thinking behind it.
Right.
He did some of it, the big panel, but the rest of it could have been improved overall. I appreciated the effort. I look at like his rendering of the hair, Wonder Woman's hair, especially in panel 5 and panel 6. That's turning into a nice technique. I would say it's working better than some of his other rendered techniques. I would tell him, really think about where the word balloons go. Even if he was working from a plot, not a full script, but once this thing would be drawn, word balloons got to go somewhere. I guarantee you, the only word balloon on the page is not going to be the one that he left the space for in panel 5.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre that he put just the one word balloon in, right?
Yeah, I'd rather there be none, but on something like this. But if he's doing his own layouts, he ought to think about, all right, well, it's likely the girl is saying something here in panel 1 that she's going to reply in panel 2, and in panel 3 there might be a bunch of dialogue. Where's it going to go? It's going to cover all these bodies. So maybe if he had staged it, bring the camera down a bit, bring it in closer to Wonder Woman, and then it's kind of up past, and all those people are in the background, leave rooms for some balloons. So, clearly planned out, if not dead space, then places where those balloons can go. There's almost no place for balloons in any of those top panels. So
do you find that when you get portfolios to review that a fairly big problem is panel design, panel layout, and not leaving spaces for word balloons?
The word balloons problem doesn't happen all the time. I'd say about half the time the artists don't think of where the balloons go. And that's when I go back and say, okay, in the layout stage, especially if you've gotten a full script, sketch out the balloons first. Or, in the layout stage, so it's there.
Okay.
And that way, when you're sending the layouts to the editor to be reviewed, the editor can take the layouts, take the script, compare the two, and know that you've got enough room, or can go back and say, why did you put a little balloon there when there's 5 dialogue balloons in that panel? You're going to need to rethink the layout because it's simply not going to fit. And if there's a full script there, there's no excuse for it. The artist can read the script, see how much dialogue is there, and his layout should be designed to accommodate that.
Very good point.
Yeah. So, in a case like this where he's working from a plot, there's still going to be balloons, so you have to make some practical guesses of where it's going to go. And they can't say, well, that's too difficult. Marvel artists did it for decades.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, and I keep saying, go back to the best guys, see how they did it, and learn from that 80-year history that we have in the business.
Right.
Don't just look at what's been done in the past 5 years, because some of those guys haven't looked back at the history, and so you're getting third generation comics that people are reinventing the wheel, and right. People have already mastered this stuff. Learn from that and get better from that.
Yeah, exactly. And don't just, like you said, don't just limit yourself to the last 5 years or even necessarily comics in general. There's all sorts of inspiration out there. As Kelly Jones even said, like he takes his inspiration from the classic like Gothic horror. Mm-hmm. For his layouts, stuff like that. Because if you're just getting your inspiration and you're learning and your knowledge, and you're only digesting comics, it's kind of like like Ouroboros, the snake devouring its own tail.
Yes.
And it's just not going to lead anywhere good. So.
Yeah. So, speaking of anywhere good, what do we have coming up next week?
Next week I am working on, and I think it shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to say Christopher Sotomayor. Another fantastic colorist, and I consider, in addition to you, another mentor of mine, because Chris has given me lots of great advice over the years, and he also does his own coloring courses. as well, which we're going to talk about. So
All right,
lots of
fantastic.
yeah, and then of course you said Fantastic Four movie chats
Yeah,
next
so
week as well.
that
So
is my hope. I may even bump FF another week, but we'll see.
okay,
Because I have a second guest I would like to bring aboard, Jenna Jones, who will be handling Glasshouse's whatnots. We have so many books that we have done that folks have been asking about, and we've been preparing new variants and so forth that collectors seem to want. And Jenna's spearheading that, and she hopes to be on next week so we can talk all about that.
fantastic. All right, so 2 great guests. Yeah, sounds like a great time.
All right, so that will be a wrap for this week. So all of you, I hope you'll join us again next Saturday at 1 p.m. for the live show. And because we love having folks on here who will ask us questions and give good suggestions as we go along.
Yeah, and Rise Art says love the reviews. That's
Right.
his favorite part of the show. So
That is fantastic. So, well, send us some stuff.
yeah, absolutely. All right, and please remember to like, subscribe, and share this channel. That really helps us out. So we're looking to grow our viewership, and you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all.
All right, bye.